Welcome back to Morning Trade Live. It's our pleasure to talk crypto because what a run we have seen in the likes of Bitcoin. Get some details here. Martin Leinweber is with us, Director of Digital Asset Research and Strategy at Market Vector. Thank you for being with us. Your thoughts on the moves we've been seeing in Bitcoin, what does it tell you?
Well, after this whole tariff debacle, having Bitcoin decoupling from Nasdaq and other risk assets, that was very positive. But what is also very encouraging that very recently we also saw the altcoin back, especially Ethereum. And as Bitcoin is a very important anchor for the whole crypto market, Ethereum is very important for the overall altcoin market. And now everybody's watching the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. And this is after consolidating and down heavily, strongly up. And I'm watching that as an indicator of the breadth of the altcoin market.
So the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio, that's very interesting. And what is it telling you today?
Well, it's also up against Bitcoin slightly, but I'm looking at the last few days. So just for your listeners, you can measure ETH in dollars as you can measure the euro in dollars or in pounds. But you can also measure it against Bitcoin. So if this ratio is going up, that's indicating that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. That means that investors are going from the least risky assets in crypto, which is Bitcoin, out the risk curve to the other altcoins. And the next step is for a broad altcoin rally is investing in Ethereum. And then you see investors rotating out in Ethereum, going to Solana, Sui, etc. And that's new because since the last highs in 2021, we didn't have a broad altcoin rally anymore. So we saw just selective narratives last year, real world assets or meme coins outperforming AI. But maybe if Bitcoin, if the ETH Bitcoin ratio is stabilizing, going up, that would mean we get a broader altcoin rally, and that would be very positive for the whole crypto market.
Very interesting because it was a short time ago that I said none of my guests were saying that Ethereum was the place to be. In your case here, you're telling me in your ratio that you're looking at that Ethereum is showing some prospect. It's got the up arrow. Is it the place to be? I mean, if you had $1,000, if you had 10,000, 100,000, are you putting it in Bitcoin or are you putting it in Ethereum?
Well, I would always diversify. So I would always start with Bitcoin and then diversify out the risk curve in the larger tokens. But I'm watching more the technical levels to get confirmation. Yeah. So in terms of the ETH Bitcoin ratio, it's the 0.035 level. If we can establish Ethereum BTC ratio above that, that would be very encouraging to be long Ethereum. And price-wise, I think for Ethereum to have more hope, it's important that we reclaim the 2,800 US dollar level. And then I would say would have further confirmation of diversifying my Bitcoin into more Ethereum. But I'm always looking for the technical confirmation. Yeah, it's not a blind, random investing in other altcoins.
How on point are the folks who are saying 200, 250 for Bitcoin by next summer? I mean, for example, we saw at 50,000. Bitcoin was at 50,000 last fall. Today, it's at 104,000. Is the 120 by the end of the year, 200, 250 by midsummer next year? Does that seem on point to you? What are some of your projections?
Well, I think that we are in the latest innings of the bull market because people forget that since the lows in 2022, we are all already up around 500 to 600%, right? We are not looking just from the end of last year. So the bull market is already a little old in Bitcoin. And so it's if you look at the predictions of 200, 250K, I think that's too much. But if you look at the technical picture again, I think everything between 120, 140 is still within reach. which is a nice upside. And don't forget, if that's the case, that means for altcoins, a multiple of that. But people have to be careful if they listen to these outlandish 250, 300, 400K. I mean, it could be possible. Listen, if we get a really Bitcoin as a strategic reserve in the US pretty soon, then everything is possible. But I put there a small likelihood there. And if we just have a normal cycle, meaning we have a right translated cycle towards the end of the year, I would say a prudent target is anything between 120 to 145.
Okay, so that's a prudent target. Understood. When you were talking about those lows, last October, October 2022, that's when the S&P was just below 3,500, and the Bitcoin trade was at around 15,000. 15,000. So we have seen an incredible run. Right now, when you think about why people go to Bitcoin, and some of the naysayers, but there's others who love it for the store of value, that they're less worried about the dollar now, etc. I mean, why should people have Bitcoin in the first place?
Well, I think Bitcoin is so back because it's evolving into a reserve style asset. So what Trump did basically is really, and you see that broad-based, a rotation out of US dollar assets. So you see international stocks behaving very well. But when it comes to currencies, what is a neutral currency? You have gold. Gold had a great rally, and you have Bitcoin in the digital world. And I think these shifts, tectonic shifts you have, right? These are regime shifts playing out over years or even decades. That's a very strong support for Bitcoin going forward. Think of nations investing it, more and more companies, institutions, and I think even Morgan Stanley is modeling Bitcoin as a reserve asset and proposed 370 billion to hold Bitcoin as a US collateral. And you see where we are. So it's not about is Bitcoin a thing? It's just a question now, how much do you own?
Yeah, understood. I mean, what are your thoughts about governments buying crypto? We're seeing it here at home. Is that a good idea? And how does it affect the way it goes for other investors who were hot on crypto in the first place?
I mean, you see some in the US. If I speak for the US, you see some initiatives on the state level. It's not on the federal level, and it comes with it's not easy. Let's put it this way, right? How do you spend taxpayer money? And it's still a very volatile asset. But I think there are some suggestions about bid bonds, so that the Treasury is issuing bonds tied to Bitcoin. It's like a structured product, so it's not new tax money the US will spend. So there are some suggestions to have new structured products with Bitcoin, but keep in mind that's a long way. It's not done today. But if you're really forward looking, you see there's so many new variables for new and higher adoption. And maybe it's not the US first, but maybe in the Middle East or somewhere else. But people are worried now about US dollar assets. They're worried about treasuries. You see it with the rates. I think the US has lost control about the long end. And so that's a long trend, and people will be creative in finding ways to buy Bitcoin.
Does AI fit into the Bitcoin story or the alt token story?
Yes, AI, if you think of it, AI has to transact, robots have to transact in something. That will be a digital currency. Will it be Bitcoin? I don't know, but it will definitely be crypto. Stable coins will play a huge role, and so do the assets which help to enable those stable coins, these base layer chains like Ethereum or Solana. So that will be a very important point because think of it. These AI agents in the future, they can't transact in cash or so. Yeah, and these will be micropayments instantaneously, and so crypto will play an essential role also when it comes to your data. Data will be stored on blockchain, and so AI is very compatible with the crypto space, and so that's the reason why you see AI stocks, AI stocks rallying, as well as crypto at the moment. These are the new trends, less the Max 7, so to say.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, I saw Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy actually made an AI video of himself as a child, you know, answering questions and just sort of really putting it out there why Bitcoin is a win. Very interesting. Martin Leinweber, thank you very much. It's great to see you, Director of Digital Asset Research Strategy at Market Vector. Thank you very much.